As a journaling teacher, people are curious to know how I journal. So today I'm going to give you an insider's view of my complete journaling system, including what journals I keep, what do I write in them, and how often I write. And my hope is that it sparks fresh ideas for you to keep a journal and inspire new ways for you to also deepen your practice. Now, when I started brainstorming this video, I made a list of all the journals that I'm currently keeping. The result was 9 journals. It may sound like a lot, and maybe it is, but it works for me. And the reason why it's not overwhelming for me is because first, many of them I don't write in often. In fact, each serves a different theme and purpose, and I'll break them down for you in just a moment. And then the second reason why it's not overwhelming for me is because I've been journaling for a while. I am what I call a journaling architect. And as a journaling architect, I have learned the different journaling techniques and how to use them with clarity and intention. Now, out of the 9 journals that I keep, 6 are for my personal use and 3 are more work related. And if you are a journaling beginner, know that it's not mandatory, not even advised, that you keep multiple journals. In fact, the simpler your journaling practice is, the better, because the more likely you are to stick with it. If you are not sure what is your journaling level, there are 5 of them. You can take the quiz, it's free, and you will receive a personalized guide with journaling techniques according to your journaling level. Now, let me show you how I organize my life on paper with these 9 journals. So the first one is the Life Journal, and the Life Journal is the journal that I created back in 2017 when I was working at Mindvalley, and I published in 2018. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you, it's not necessarily to promote it, but because it is, in fact, a journal that I use for my everyday journaling practice, and that's why I created it in the first place. It is a mix between structure, because it is a guided journal with a daily and a weekly template, but it also gives me the one blank page of freedom for my everyday journal, and that's where I write my dreams, my daily thoughts, my stream of consciousness. Now, let me show you a little bit more about what's inside the Life Journal. The first exercise that I do in the Life Journal is the Circle of Life, which is a self-assessment where I look at the different areas of life and I understand where I'm standing right now and also where I want to go in the upcoming 3 months. So I write the 3 areas of life that I want to focus and also the goals or the intentions for each one of them. And then based on that, I write my habits. These are the things that I want to track. For example, waking up before a certain time or going to the gym, reading at night, and so on. Then next, I have the daily template. And the daily template has a quote, it has a space for what I'm grateful for, also my daily tasks, my happiness score. I also like to do an emotional check-in every day and understand how I'm feeling. And then I have the today's thoughts page. Now, the weekly template is where I do my weekly reflection and I also review what I want to accomplish the following week. So essentially, this is the journal that I use for my daily processing, for my daily organization. And even though it is a daily journal, and I would like to highlight this, sometimes I skip days, and that's okay, because journaling is not about perfection. It's about using it when you need it. And in my case, I do need it almost every day. Now, the second journal that I keep is my weekly journal. Right now, this is the one that I have, and I buy one for each year. But actually, this year I've been writing a lot. Has been quite of a year of transition for me. So this is the second. This is the first, which is already full. And this is the journal where I mostly document my life And this is also the journal where I like to go deeper into my emotional processing and everything I'm going through. What I love about it is that I can actually use the different journaling techniques. For example, in this journal, I use stream of consciousness, I use the dialogue, I use clustering. I also have videos about clustering, and I'll put the link in the description below. I also use, I don't know, like the unsent letter, inner wisdom. There are so many different journaling techniques that I actually use in only one journal. And as you just maybe saw it, the first thing that I do when I buy this journal, usually, I think I already mentioned, I keep one for each year or two, like 2025. But the very first thing that I do is to create a vision board. And I create a vision board on Canva of my intention for that chapter of my life, because I believe that a journal is a representation of a chapter that you're going through, and for each chapter I have an intention, and to express that intention I create a vision board, and I also assign a theme for that journal. For example, the theme for this journal is creation, which actually is written on the cover. And I also have, for the first semester of this year, its own vision board and theme. So something that I also would like to add about my weekly journal is that I have created a routine around my journaling. So even if I don't have a daily journal, even if I'm not keeping any journal at all, this is the number one journal that I always keep. And I make sure that I write on it on Saturday mornings. So wherever I am in the world, usually on Saturday mornings, if I have the possibility, I know that this is my me time, this is my self-care time, and this is where I journal. And the last thing that I would like to add on my weekly journal is that I have, and maybe you have noticed, I also attach photos and receipts and tickets and pressed flowers and some stickers, and I use it as a form of documenting my life, but also to express my creativity. There is actually a type of journaling that is called junk journaling, in which you use materials that otherwise would have been thrown away and you paste them into your journal. And I think that it's also a beautiful way of adding this sense of a life well lived to your journal. The third journal that I keep is my yearly journal. And for that, again, I have created my own. This is the New Year journal. And this is the journal that I use as a transition from one year to another. So usually around end of December, and sometimes even for a week or 2 or 3 in January, I fill this journal. It has about 80 pages. It can also be used as a digital journal, but I prefer to write on paper and to reflect on paper. And it has different exercises to reflect on the year that has passed and also to plan the year ahead. Now, I don't always actually fill in all of the journaling exercises. I'm quite intuitive in the way that I do my yearly reflections, but there are a few that I always do. And they are not just journaling prompts, but also, for example, the character sketch, the vision board, which then I paste on my weekly journal. But later this year, I'm going to share everything with you on a separate video. But essentially, I do find the need to have one specific place where I have my reflections and my intentions for the year. Now, there are people who prefer to do yearly reflections on their birthday instead of the end of the year. So this is an extra idea for you if you want to move forward with yearly journaling reflections. Okay, now the fourth journal that I keep is my manifestation journal. And I'm not actually going that deep into what's inside of this journal because you can watch my video on that. I just would like to highlight that this is actually the journal that I use the least, and I haven't even opened it in the last 1 or 2 years. And I've been keeping most of my visions actually on my Notion page because I feel that it's more accessible to me. So essentially, I have my manifestation journal where I have the vision for 2 to 3 years. Then I break that down into my New Year journal. And then from the New Year journal, I have my weekly journal. And from the weekly journal, I go to my daily journal. So you understand like what is the system at large here. It may sound a lot, maybe it is, but it's just what it works for me. All right, now my next journal, and this is a special one. It's also a guided journal, okay, which is my therapy journal. So this is a journal by Therapy Notebooks. It's a brand that I discovered maybe back in 2020. And I restarted therapy 2 years ago. I used to do therapy when I was a teenager, and then 2 years ago, I decided to go back, and I'm so glad I did. Best decision ever. And in therapy, there are moments where I don't journal about it as much. There are moments when I journal on my weekly journal or even on my daily journal about therapy. And there are moments where I feel that I need more structure for the processing of the therapy work. And this journal has the following templates. It starts with writing prompts for you to reflect on during the week. And then it goes to the preparation of the session, including this pre-session check-in, topics for the session, key takeaways, and lastly, space for reflection after the session. And maybe this may break a myth for you around journaling, because I feel that so many of us, we start journals and we feel that we have to continue writing on it consistently and that we have to finish them. And maybe understanding that it's actually normal that so many of us, we start a journal, we write on it maybe for a week, maybe for a month, and then we stop, maybe for 6 months, and then we go back to it. All of this chaos somehow is part of the dance of journaling. So it's really about keeping it flexible and in a way that works for you. All right, next journal, we have my dream journal. So I must confess that it's been a struggle for me to keep this journal because I'm Pisces, I'm very intuitive, and so much of my personal development journey and especially spirituality began in the dream world. And so it is very easy for me to remember my dreams, and usually I write my dreams on my daily journal, on the life journal, or my weekly journal. What happened is that I started struggling with finding where that dream was on that specific day. It was just a mess. And so I had the great intention of keeping a dream journal. And the truth is that I still have my dream journaling all over the place. And in terms of journaling and even my personal development work, I feel that this is where I would like to go next, because I know that adding this structure to my dream life and more focus and attention, it will reap its benefits. And so once I succeed in it, I'll also share more and have a dedicated video for dream journaling. Now, the journal that I have assigned for my dream journaling is a very simple dotted page, like bullet journal style kind of journal. And the reason why, it's because it has a space only for the contents, like an index and numbered pages, and that really helps to find the dream that you're looking for. Now, these are all of the journals that I keep for personal growth, the 6. And now we entered the journals that are more work related. And the first one is my Brainstorm Journal. This is actually an old journal that I bought, 2016, when I was still living in Malaysia. And about a few months ago, I just needed a space where I could brainstorm and take notes and keep it on my desk. And so I got this old journal that it is already used, and that's okay. I actually love the aspect that is chaotic to it. There is no structure, and I love the fact that it's big. I just feel that it's a bold space for me to create. Now, the other journal that I keep for work is my teaching journal. So last year when I started mentoring with Kay Adams, the author of the Journal to the Self and also the founder of the Therapeutic Writing Institutes and the Center for Journal Therapy, the very first recommendation she had for me was to keep a teaching journal, not surprisingly. And this is the place where I write all the notes about my journaling workshops, things that I have learned, some patterns that I have noticed, and I have realized how much this actually helps to bring more awareness and more intention to teaching and also to learn from it. All right, now the last journal that I use is digital, and it is a waste book. What is a waste book? Essentially, a waste book is a notebook where you jot down thoughts and observations that come to mind that are unfiltered and unstructured. It is a temporary holding of information, so then you can work with it and put it somewhere else, maybe in another journal, maybe publish a book, whatever that is. And I use a waste book for my journaling work. So essentially, all the methodologies that I develop, all the reflections, I put them in this digital journal, and I use just a Google Doc template. It's super simple. And I have found that to develop my intellectual property, it's easier for me to use online because of its flexibility and because I cross different platforms and it's much quicker and cleaner. As simple as that. So this is my current journaling system. Very likely next year is going to be something different. Even though I do have the foundations of my journaling practice, the truth is that it changes because the purpose of journaling is actually that it adapts to our growth and not so much the other way around. Now remember that in journaling there is no one size fits all, and that your journaling practice is going to evolve as you do. And so the way that you journal at age 15, at age 35, 65 very likely is very different, and that is the beauty of it. Journaling is going to grow as you do. And as long as you write, you're doing it right. And also I would love to know, how is your journaling practice? So comment below, let me know if you also have a daily journal, maybe a weekly journal, maybe it's completely different. I would love to hear and to learn from you. So that's all for today. Thanks again for watching, for being here, and I will see you in our next video.